Acton in Focus is brought to you by Acton Pharmacy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Acton in Focus. I'm Marc Duci. I'm your host for today's episode, and we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking with a couple of the members of the AB Rotary Club, which I am also a member of. But we've actually got some AB Rotary royalty here today. We've got the current president, Marianne Fleckner. Marianne, welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have our upcoming president, Steve Jones D'Agostino. Steve, welcome.
Hello. We're not royalty, we're worker bees.
Worker bees. Well, I think this is awesome. I'm very excited to have you guys here. A few things that I wanted to talk about you with. But first, I wanted to start out with for those watching and those that don't really know much about Rotary and Rotary Club. Could you guys talk a little bit about who the Rotary is, what the Rotary Club does, and specifically about AB Rotary?
Sure, absolutely. And so Rotary on an international level, it was started 116 years ago. And so we have a lot of experience behind us. It started on February 23rd, 1905. And it was started by a gentleman by the name of Paul Harris. And he was an attorney in Chicago. And his vision was to bring people together with diverse backgrounds, just to exchange ideas and form a meaningful, lifelong friendships. And here we are 116 years later and going even stronger. And shortly after, you think about organizations that are created and the amount of time it usually takes for those to get off the ground and be successful. Only 16 years later, the Rotary International was on 6 continents. And that is just amazing because of the popularity and what it stood for, service above self, which Steve will get further into. Another point that we're very, very proud of is that Rotary is a founding member of the United Nations, of the UN. And so it has a seat, it does not have a voting seat, but it has a seat on the UN, along with the American Red Cross. So that's something that we always like to point out. And another big factor, people are very familiar with polio that happened in the 50s and 60s, whether it was ourselves, a family member, friends who we know who were affected by polio. Well, Rotary got involved with polio in the mid 70s and specifically in 1979. And what we continue to do is we raise money and we're involved with the immunization. And so the goal in 1979 was to immunize 6 million children in the Philippines. And today, polio is only on, I think, in three countries. And back in 1988, it was in 125 countries. So this work that we do, the money that we raise, not only just international, but locally. And we'll get into more of that.
Now, Rotary is, as you've mentioned, Rotary is worldwide. There are clubs all over the world. And I think one of the cool things about Rotary is how we get some young people involved by doing overseas I don't know what you call them. They're like these programs where, we'll have a young Rotarian from France come visit us, and then we'll have a Rotarian locally go visit, France. And so you get this great this cultural connection through Rotary. And if you were to, if you're a Rotarian and you were to visit other country, you could go and visit those clubs and be part of those meetings. So it really is this wonderful worldwide organization.
And I believe that's Essex, the eastern states student exchange programs. And we do that in conjunction with the State Department of the United States government. So there are actually two organizations hosting and sponsoring that. The Rotary district that you're in, and then the State Department.
On that note, I will never forget one of my first meetings. We had one of our students that we sponsored attend one of our luncheons. And those who are familiar with golf, or even if you're not, you've heard of the Masters and you get the green jacket if you win the Masters. I think, I'm not a golf player, but I remember this student who came, and the student had a blue jacket on with, I would probably say, more than 50 different pins all over this jacket. And that's a big part of this exchange, is that when they come here and they go to various clubs and they're exchanging pins with other students who are on exchange, it's such a camaraderie to see. And then when we send the student over to the corresponding country, they do the same. And it was just so inspiring to see such young people who have learned so much and have seen so much at such a young age, and being sponsored by Rotary, being sponsored by our club, and being able to make those connections that last lifelong. But the jacket was so cool to see, and they really were so proud of it, as they should be.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And you mentioned the connections, and one of my favorite things about being a Rotarian is those connections. It's been a little bit different this year, with COVID. We've all had to get together like this via Zoom. But before COVID, we would meet together on a weekly basis, and we'd see each other, and we'd talk about what's going on. And it was just this great group that we really felt this close knit ties together. And I think that was my favorite thing, is working with all of you, and then working towards a common goal of helping others. And one of the key motto for Rotary is service above self. And that's what we're doing. We're getting together, we're talking together, and we're looking to help others. I was curious now, how did you two first discover Rotary, and what brought you to becoming Rotarians?
Steve, do you want to take that first?
I had gotten to a point in my career where I wanted to give back to the community. And I was a journalist and in publishing. And every once in a while, the Rotary Club would ask me to come over and speak. And usually at that time, it was the Worcester Club. And there were very few members, at least very few members, who showed up. So I didn't think that much about Rotary. But then around 2013, there was a president for that club who was very active in recruiting members, both trying to retain members and recruit new ones. And I think I was introduced to him by somebody else that I knew well. And so we had a long conversation. I got the crash course in what Rotary was or is. And after that, I was really pumped up, and he said he would sponsor me as a member. So one thing led to another, and here I am, 8 years later.
And I should also mention that Steve has also become the webmaster of our website, ActonBoxboroughRotary.org, and also the district website. So and the district website keeps me a bit busy. He does a great job. So if you're interested, you should definitely check out ActonBoxboroughRotary.org. Check out our website. Anyway, sorry, Marianne.
Yeah, sure. So I had come to Acton as an employee. I worked for the town of Acton in 2008, and I was working in Boston for the past 21 years, and, jumping on a train, working, coming back. So I was involved in other organizations, other philanthropic activities, but it wasn't as local and meaningful that I could get so much out of. And what I wanted was to find that. And so coincidentally, the former police chief, Frank Widmay, who's still a Rotarian with our club, he said, come to a Rotary lunch. And it just hit me immediately. That was 2008, and here I am 13 years later, and I'm so happy. It's one of the best decisions I've made. And it's lifelong friendships, and we meet still, even though it's by Zoom, 12:15 on Wednesdays. And I so look forward to that, because as we get back to our lunches, hopefully soon, it's that part of the day where you're just able to relax and still feel as though that you have accomplished so much, because we have so many things that we do with the local community, with other organizations. And I'm just enjoying it so much. Have a lot of fun with it. My dad was in the Lions. And so I grew up with family members who would give to the community. And I would always see this rotary wheel on the side of the road, and you still see them, and always kind of wondered what they were. And so now here I am, a Rotarian.
Yes.
And I think one of the challenges for Rotary is to spread the word. Probably about 90% of the people on the planet think a Rotary is a traffic circle.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a big campaign that started by Rotary International about 2008 to rebrand it and get the word out about what Rotary is and what it does. So Rotary has 7 areas of focus, and within the past year, Rotary International added the 7th one, and I'll get to that in a minute or so. So we've got basic education and literacy, maternal and child health, peace and conflict prevention resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation and hygiene, community and economic development, and then support the environment. And these areas of focus are very similar to the United Nations areas of focus, because as we noted before, the Rotary and the Red Cross were the two among the founding members of the United Nations. Both of them don't have voting seats, but they do have seats in the United Nations. So out of that came these first initial 6 areas of focus, and then just in the past year, we added support the environment. And then if you look at that as sort of a pyramid, there are certain things you have to do first. You know, you want to take care of disease prevention, water and sanitation and hygiene, maternal and child health. So those are like the bottom of the foundation of the pyramid. And as you get those under control in a community, then you can start doing other things like basic education and literacy, or community and economic development, or support the environment. So those are the next couple of levels. The one sitting at the very top is peace and conflict prevention and resolution. And the idea is, as you take care of the other 6, maybe peace will start breaking out instead of wars breaking out.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. That was a really cool graph to sort of explain the different areas of Rotary. I think I think a lot of viewers, I would say most viewers have heard of Rotary, but they just aren't really sure. Like Marianne said earlier, like what Rotary actually is.
Right.
And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this show with you both today. But I also wanted to do this show to talk a little bit about an upcoming event that's happening. Now, one of the things that our club does is we hold different events throughout the year to raise money for different organizations. In the past, we've had masquerade balls. We've done a comedy for a cause. We have a yearly golf tournament. And this year, we're doing something a little bit different. It's called Bids for Brighter Futures. And I wanted to use this time to promote that a little bit. So Steve or Marianne, would you care to talk a little bit about what this event is and who it will be serving?
So thank you, Mark. As we had talked about, is that a big part of who Rotary is helping the community, whether it's local or state or national or international. And so this particular fundraiser that we're doing is on the local level. It's called the Bid for Brighter Futures. We're so excited about it. It will be starting in a couple of weeks on April 17th, and it goes until April 30th. And Steve will be talking a little bit more about that, ending with this fun-filled gala on the 30th. And what the Bid for Brighter Futures is doing is it's going to be an online auction with a great number of auction items that we have. And we really encourage folks to be able to look and see some of these auction items that they might want to bid on. And some of these, I've already had my eye on some, and they range in price as well. You can bid real low, and some go hopefully high for those two organizations that we will be sponsoring. And those two organizations that we are raising money for, that we are sponsoring. The first one is the Domestic Violence Services Network, which helps people who have been victims, survivors of domestic violence. And the second one is the Acton Food Pantry, that provides food and services, items to families in the Acton Boxborough area. And especially during last year, the number of people that the Acton Food Pantry has serviced has increased dramatically. And also on domestic violence front, unfortunately, those numbers have increased dramatically as well. So there is no better time in order for us to help out, and please, for those who can, is to open up their wallets and bid on some of these awesome auction items. Some of them are trips to Savannah, Georgia, so Santa Monica, also to Arizona, and again, some baskets. So there's something in there for everyone. And I'll hand it over to one of my committee members, Steve D'Agostino, and talk a little bit more about it and who our committee is.
So in addition to Marianne and myself, we have several other club members who are working on the bid for Brighter Futures. Marvin Gould, who's a past president of the club, Ann Savari, who is also a past president of the club. Carla Stover is another member, and our chair is Ann Hentz. So that's the committee working on it. And obviously we have other club members helping us, like you, Marc, with producing a video that will be used during the actual online auction.
For more information, people can go to the website actonboxboroughRotary.org, and that's where you can find the list of items. That's where you can bid for these items. Now, again, the bidding doesn't actually start until April 17th,
That's correct.
but it goes for 2 weeks until the 30th. Is that right?
Yes.
Through the 30th, right, through the 30th.
Through the 30th. And then the winners will be announced at the gala.
Well, the gala is part of the event. I believe we'll announce the winners after the gala.
After the gala, okay. So if people can't make it to the gala, they'll be able to go to the website at a later time and see if they've won one of the prizes?
They'll be contacted.
They'll be contacted. Okay, great. And regarding the money that's going to the Domestic Violence Services Network and the Acton Food Pantry, now is it 100% of the money goes to those organizations?
Well, it'll be 100% of the net proceeds. So if we have any costs incurred, putting the project together, then obviously that has to be paid for first. And then whatever's left over, 100% of that goes to those two organizations.
Right. The Rotary does not take any administrative costs of its own, any charge, no fees, nothing.
Right.
And to Steve's point, the beauty of having an online auction versus in person, our costs have remained low. So the majority of whatever we raise will go to the Acton Food Pantry and Domestic Violence Services Network. We do not take any type of fee.
Right. So, for instance, if we wanted to run TV, newspaper, radio ads that weren't done on trade and we had to pay cash, we'd have to get reimbursed for that before we distributed the rest of the net proceeds.
Well, I think I think this is a fantastic idea for an event, especially where we can't get together in big groups just yet. Doing something like this is it's a lot of fun, first of all. And it gives people the opportunity to really pick up some really cool gifts and help out a couple of wonderful organizations at the same time. I'm really excited to see how this goes, and it's our first virtual event, so it'll definitely be interesting. But I'm really looking forward to it. And I think for those of you viewing this episode, again, go to actonboxborough.org, take a look at what some of the amazing items are that are going to be offered, and put in a few bids. You never know, you might win something like a trip to Savannah, Georgia. How cool would that be?
That would
And
be
Marc,
awesome.
that would be. And Marc, out of shameless self-promotion, can I share the screen of our current sponsors?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay,
That's a great idea. We have some great sponsors so far.
So our lead sponsor is Vitalogics, which is based out of the US, but they now have a facility in Boxborough. And then we have Acton Funeral Home, Colonial Chevrolet of Acton, Shire Caton Epstein, it's a law firm, Idlewild Farms, Omni Properties, and Enterprise Bank. And then Boxborough Regency, which is a hotel and conference center, Gould's, and Marvin Gould is, as I noted before, one of our past presidents and a member of the committee working on Bid for Brighter Futures. And then Mortgage Network, Ken's Wine Guide, Crossroads Cafe, Colonial Spirits of Acton, Acton Framers, and KB Bookkeeping. So if you'd like to join that group of very good sponsors and wonderful sponsors, just let us know, and we'll show you what to do next.
And I think also is that you can go directly to Bid for Brighter Futures. If you just want to put that in your search, and it will come up directly as well.
Right,
and
so this is it right here. This is
works.
Yeah, here's the web page for 32auctions.com/bid for brighter futures. So they handle a whole bunch of auctions for different organizations, and we happen to be one of them. So this is like a sub page of their overall website. And as you'll see, the opening page just explains what we're doing and why we're doing it and who we are. And then you can click on View All Items to see the items that are being auctioned off and what the starting suggested bid is. And then if you want to go, let's go to the top one here. It's butterfly pendant earrings. Then you click on that and it will provide more information about that particular item. So that's a separate web page, but you can get to it from the Bid for Brighter Futures website.
And one could see, as I had mentioned earlier, is that these bids start at very reasonable prices. Of course, our goal is to raise as much money as possible, and we're confident and hopeful that we'll reach our $30,000. And at the same time, though, is that folks who might want to give, but they're not able to give as much, some of these bid items start at very reasonable prices. So we're excited. We have something for everyone.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I think this is really going to be super successful, and thank you all, the committee putting this together. It was a great idea, and I'm very excited for it. So to kind of end this, just wanted to see if either of you had any final thoughts that you'd like to say before we close this out.
Marianne?
Sure. So if this sounded interesting to you, some of these fun things that we do, you want to get more involved in your community, we would love to have you be a guest of ours, attend one of our weekly meetings, become a member. And if you're interested, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And you can reach out to us at abrotaryclub@gmail.com. Again, that's abrotaryclub@gmail.com. abrotaryclub@gmail.com. Thank you so much. And Steve, any last minute words from you?
Well, no, Marc, thank you very much for having us on, and you're a great host, and we look forward to doing this on some more occasions with other events down the road.
Absolutely. Yeah, we would. I'd love to have you guys back again. This has been great. And for our viewers, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any stories that you'd like to share with us, you can reach us at infocus@actontv.org. Again, that's infocus@actontv.org. And with that, Steve, Marianne, thank you both so much for being my guest today. April 17th, April 30th, Bid for Brighter Futures. Make sure you check it out. Thanks, everybody.
Ciao for now.